Hey guys, welcome to Grounded Roots Healing. I'm Jason, I'm an alchemist, and I want to talk about the solar flash, 3 days of darkness, ET contact, how timelines work, resonance with my content, why my channel is growing, etc. It's very interesting stuff. It's in relation to, timeline jumping essentially. I just received it as a download. I was literally sitting here. I wasn't going to make another video. I've made quite a few recently, and they seem to be just flowing out of me, which means thankfully, I must be vibrating pretty high because when you're channeling to your higher self, and your higher self is in a more robust communication with you down here on this lower realm. And if you're vibing high, the videos come. And they come in a way that, it's really hard to describe, but it's almost like a tingling or a buzzing sensation. I don't, it sounds weird, but if anyone's ever had that connection where you're very robustly connected to your higher self and you start talking, this just comes out of you, and it's almost as if you're not talking yourself. I feel really clear tonight. We'll see how this video goes. I've rewatched some of my last couple of videos, and they're good, but they're not quite there, not quite in full resonance. And I haven't had that many views on these videos either. I've been, for whatever reason, it's not moving along that well, but I do have an idea of maybe why that's the case. And it has something to do with resonance and where the collective is. And it's my intuition on giving the message that I need to channel to you, and not trying to use my monkey mind to tailor the message and give that message. In the last video I just talked about being sober for a year, which was great. So, this in the end is all for me. I'm going to be the one who gets the most out of this, without a doubt. So the timeline jumping and the solar flash and the 3 days of darkness, they are prophesized, which means that someone in the past locked into the Akashic records saw a possible outcome on one of the timelines that led to those events. Now, I personally think that particular sequence of events is on every timeline. It's just a matter of your perception of what's happening as you go through it. So how high are you vibrating, which timeline are you on, dictates how you perceive those events happening. Are they negative? Are they positive? This is the difference. There is no real difference in the events. It's just how you interpret the events. And you will only interpret them as positive. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. You only interpret them at the highest timeline as being only positive, let's say, if you're vibing as high as possible. Now, I have theories on this, but personally I think our stories are pretty much written in stone, and we're going to end up where we're going to end up no matter what. So, I've done this description before, but for whoever's listening, if you're new, I like to envision timelines as a stack of records, vinyl records. On each record, I like to envision 8 records on top of each other, the lowest timeline being the lower record, the highest timeline being the top record. And on the record, you obviously have your grooves, which is a linear progression of events. And each person on the planet is on that timeline. Well, there's a copy of every person on the planet on that timeline that is conscious, that is an avatar, that is a vessel that we as conscious beings inhabit. So at any point, you can move your consciousness to either any of those timelines, up or down, with the lowest having the most 3D-like events and experiences, and the highest being the most astral and magical. And there's obviously a gamut that you can run on these records. Now, if you're on the highest timeline, each person that is, let's say, how would you say that? I would say real, but who has a conscious being inhabiting that body. So there are some people on these records that are, well, we often hear them called NPCs, non-player character. I think Dolores Cannon called them background people. So they're filler because we're in a simulation. And I'm of the sense that it's about 1/3 of the amount of people around you that aren't actually inhabited by conscious beings. They're run by the simulation themselves. And then about 1/3 of them are meant to ascend, and about 1/3 are not. This is what my gut tells me. I have no concrete proof of this, but this is what my gut tells me. And depending on where you are, like say in an airport, the level of NPCs goes through the roof because it can. How would you ever know otherwise? But you get good at detecting when someone's soul is inhabiting the avatar that's next to you. You can start to sense this. Now, as you start to awaken to these things, say you're at the top record. Well, this 2/3 of the people have consciousness in them, souls, and at some point, everybody's on this record, but on the top one, maybe there's only a handful of us at this time. I don't even think I'm on the top one, but one of these records. And when you get to noticing the other people that are inhabiting their higher selves or holding their higher selves in that avatar at the same level as you, you'll start to notice it. But many of them are down here, and some of them will stay down here. Now, I said there was 8 records. This is just hypothetical for a model's perspective. So you can see what I'm talking about, envision this. And I propose that somewhere at let's say the bottom 3 records, 3D, there's a split. So when we get to a point on the linear progression of time where this flash, this new Earth split, this 3 days of darkness, this etc., whatever you want to call it, Hopi prophecy, all of it, it's all been seen by someone who can look at these records and see. Maybe they were looking at level 3, maybe they were looking at level 8, but in all of them, there's a change. But below 3, let's say, there's a split. And as we ascend along this progression, wherever your soul is, if it's below 3, it stays with the old Earth. If it's above the top 5 records from 4 to 8, 4 to 8, yeah, that's bottom 3, top 5. My math's not working. They ascend into the new Earth, and then we slowly pull everybody up so that they're inhabiting their bodies on the top timeline. And as a new Earth leader, that is your job. Your job is to embody as much light as possible, i.e., heal yourself and live from a place of heart-centered love, which will bring other people up levels to you. and do things like I'm doing right now, which is explaining this to people and hopefully dragging you up a level of understanding, which leads to a knowing and a resonance with what I'm saying. That's what it is. So everything is vibrating and everything is frequency, energy. So if my particular frequency is lining with yours, this will make sense to you. If it isn't, it's going to not make any sense at all. And that has been essentially my experience to this point. So I have 435 subs, which I'm fantastic. I'm not really caught up on the amount of subs, but that is a low number. And for the amount of work I've put in, it's not growing as fast as some channels. Now, why would that be? In my estimation, it's because the message I'm sending is very advanced. It's a high-level message. And frankly, there aren't that many. So if I'm resonating at a very high level and I don't know what level I'm at, doesn't matter. But if you're a level or two below me on the records, you're just not going to understand what I'm talking about. It's going to sound like gibberish. We're not aligned, we're not in frequency, we're not synced up. So it won't make sense. And this is all on purpose. This is how it's supposed to go. You know, there's going to be a point where it'll hit critical mass, where there'll be enough people that are going to understand what I'm talking about, and this message will take off and my subscriber count will grow. I have extreme confidence in this. I know this is going to happen. I don't know when, but I just keep plugging along, waiting for people to catch up and understand what I'm talking about. Now, if you're in this group that's in resonance with me, you're a very small proportion of the population. Very small. This is not low-level thought here. We're talking about multi-dimensional time travel. It takes a lot to grasp this. And frankly, it changes every week. As you ascend the frequencies and you start to grow and learn, you start understanding this more and more, and these higher level discussions start to make more sense. And this is exactly how it's went with me on my journey. You can watch it. I have, I don't know how many months now, 8, 9 months of videos. And from day one, I didn't know that much. I wasn't that high along this path, and I just kept learning and learning and learning, getting more downloads, clarifying my understanding of it, changing, ascending the frequencies. It's all there in video form. You can watch me from, well, it wasn't from day one, but it was from August. And, you know, my understanding of how this works has grown tremendously. So this flash is coming, and depending on which record you're in, it will look very, very different. Now, this is nothing to panic about, but it's at the same point on each record. In the linear progression of events, it will happen at the same time. It will look different based on where you are, but that's only because of how you're seeing it. Now, this is hard to explain, but if you're on the highest record, you'll have your third eye open, all of your chakras will be functioning. You will be able to literally see things with your third eye that other people can't on the lower levels. So from their perspective, say you're down on 3D, they're not going to see the ships, let's say, or entities that you're going to actually physically going to be able to see. Spirits, angels, all of these things. They're going to be standing right next to you when you start to vibrate high enough, because they are here. They're right next to you now. You just maybe can't see them, but I suspect if this video is resonating with you, you've seen a few things. And it's going to happen slowly. You're going to start getting clearer and clearer images, let's say. So everything is energy, everything is frequency. These entities, your friends, essentially, they're right next to you. There is no space. There is no distance. It's all frequency. It's all stacked on top of each other. So these beings, depending on how clear your vision is, how open your third eye is, how much of your higher self your body is able to embody, how much of your chakras are aligned and clear and vibrating as high as possible, which means close to 144,000 hertz is possible, the total chakra system. The closer you get to that, the clearer your vision is, your third eye vision, which means you can see what's right next to you. So if you don't have a clear third eye, say it's moderately open, you may just see an orb or a light in your inner eye or something out of the corner of your eye. But if it's really open, you can see that energetic body in the form that is more, how would you describe that? Closer to what its actual energetic signature would look like to the average human. So this is why very often when people describe seeing angels or ghosts or other things, they describe them quite differently. They're all the same. It's just a matter of how high you're vibrating and when you see it. If you are vibrating really high, you may see an actual humanoid figure. If you're not, you may just see a light or flash or something, you know. So I've noticed this increasing very gradually with time, because if it didn't, you would freak out. This is why people are afraid of this stuff in the first place. So so we're vibing high, we're moving along the progression of time along these records. We're getting closer to the solar flash. Well, the solar flash at the higher levels is an information download. It's a projection of energy from the sun, which has a specific data built into it, which then interacts with your body and gives you an upgrade. That's essentially what happens. You might feel like you're at peace and joyful and a new level of understanding. You may see more things just clearly as if they were right next to you now. Now, if you're at a lower level and this flash happens, you may be uncomfortable. You are still going to ascend if you're above the third level, but it will look different to you. It'll be more uncomfortable. There'll be more fear associated with it because you won't know what's happening, etc., etc. Now, if you're on the bottom 3 levels, you won't see anything. This is because at this point, the split is going to occur. They're going to go on a different path altogether. This is where we just part ways. How close is this? What form will it take? Well, my gut tells me that it'll be 3 days, because that is what just seems to be reoccurring for me. It always seems to be come to the 3 days. 3 days of darkness does not mean like no sun. Depends on the timeline, but it does mean that I think darkness would be like a technological blackout. So our devices may stop working. And then after this point, they'll turn back on, and things will be very, very different on this technological side of things. And like I said, you can't turn this on all at once. And there's some people that aren't going to understand this, and it's never meant for them to actually see what we're going to see. But if you're on this path and you understand what I'm talking about now, you can rest assured you're going to be okay. Everybody's going to be okay. This is all a simulation in the end. It's all for lessons. It's a school. And we've just learned our lessons, and we don't need to suffer for the remainder of our existence on this planet. Whereas maybe the people that get to stay on old Earth, they need more lessons. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to stay and they're going to ride it out. They're going to learn their lessons. And when we all get together on the other side, because they're not damned to hell. There is no such thing. They're going to end up with you again, and you're going to laugh about this. You're going to understand why everything happened the way it did, and it's all going to be a funny joke, and then we're going to reset, and we're probably going to do it again. But I don't know for sure. So it's the solar flash, EM pulse, coronal mass ejection, cause a Carrington event. For us, it's nothing to be afraid of. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It should be the most spectacular, amazing event of your life. Everything will make sense instantly, and we get to move on from all of this old nonsense, the old 3D stuff. So the theater that's going on the outside, this is all in preparation for the masses to understand very slowly what's happening. How close is this? Well, if you take a look at X, for example, the X platform, Twitter formerly, you can see how many people are still firmly planted and lost and don't understand what's coming. We're still a very small minority, and right now, you and I are going through our training. It's our training in order to be of service to the other people that are going to wake up as well. And they're going to need calm people who understand what's going on and can explain things. And that is essentially our entire job. This can be just your family, like I've said before, but it could be much larger as well. Maybe that is my value that I can contribute here, and maybe not. I don't know. But I do know that the videos I'm making here are definitely helping some people, and they are helping me to gather like-minded souls. It's been happening very slowly, but there are several of you that I resonate very strongly with, and I know that that was the point of me doing this entire thing, is the meeting of the certain peoples. It's cascading effect. But, yeah, you are a new Earth leader. There's no way around this. There's no way out of it now. We are literally sleeper agents in this war, but we are sleeper agents of love and light. And we were sleeper agents who were asleep ourselves. So I heard this described one time. It's like you're working in one of those fun houses, one of the, well, what do they call them? Oh, escape room. So you're in an escape room and you're completely enthralled, and that's the 3D play that we're in. And then one day you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, I work here. And then you start to not take it seriously. And then your job is to go around and say, hey, everybody, this is just a game. Calm down. None of this is serious. Try to enjoy it. Because you actually work at this place. Your job is to spread light and love. So yes, solar flash, definitely coming. Is it something to be concerned about? The 3 days of darkness? Absolutely not. You should be excited. It's going to be a hell of a story, and I am absolutely getting excited about it. And I don't think it is immediate or imminent. It's going to be a little while because, like I said, we're slowly waking up the population. There's a lot of things happening on the outside that are designed to trickle this stuff to the general public so that they become accustomed to it, and then they trickle a little bit more. There's wars that are coming to conclusions. There's sightings and little things happening here and there just to get everybody primed for the main event. And the main event is much different. But if they turn this on, if they just showed up in the ships tomorrow and everybody could see them, it would be hysteria, for sure. So this is all planned. It's all happening exactly as it should, and it's on time. And I'm starting to understand how this is going to go, and I'm starting to get excited again. And I'm starting to understand what my role is here, and my role is to make you understand that you are a new Earth leader, and you need to a new Earth leader that shouldn't take anything too seriously. So hopefully that made sense to you, because if it did, you're one of my soul tribe members and you're resonating with me. So I think I'll leave it there. Like I always say, I hope this video finds you well. I love you all, and we'll see you soon.